Hi, I'm Ali Patterson. On this part around the Ultimate Contact Centre, we've come to Edinburgh to talk about the digital customer experience with Standard Life. But first, we go to speak about the Digital Contact Centre. So I've come to speak with Steve Rolfe at Avaya about what it would take to make the Ultimate Contact Centre, both from a social and a multi-channel perspective.
There's very much a drive towards making the customer's life easier. And I think also in terms of knowing who they are and providing a personalised experience for them. So absolutely there is more drive there, but also it's got to be joined up. It's got to be seamless, as I was mentioning. So if someone is actually connecting through their app, and at any point within that process they want to call into the contact centre, for instance, because they want more information before they make that closed decision, then the contact centre, first of all, must route that call based on the information it's collected within the app. The customer shouldn't have to go through a whole process of determining that. Ideally, some of the IDMV should be taken from the IDMV that's already collected in the phone and your visibility of the customer. Obviously, there'll still be some level of IDMV requirements there, but to then be answered by the contact centre, the agent really needs to recognise where the customer was in that process, what sort of products they were interested in, and be aware really that what the questions are likely to be. I think from the customer's perspective as well, they will demand that. You know, if they're calling into the contact centre from a particular point, then they're going to expect to be matched with an expert who's knowledgeable in where they are at that point in time. I think let's just take it as from a retail banking perspective. From their perspective, it makes absolute sense to route that way as well, because the more you can actually match the customer's needs to the experts that you have in the contact centre, the better the first call resolution is going to be. The potential for the upsell or the cross-sell is going to be that much greater as well. So there's benefits on both sides for bringing this in.
So what would be the best way to increase efficiency for first call resolution? I speak with Standard Life to find out more.
Getting the balance right between efficient and effective in terms of the cost equation and the commercial operating model, but also satisfying the customer need. And I think, you look at organisations that seem to be getting it right, and I think, First Direct is a great example. They've recently been announced Numwood's customer experience ratings as #1. Where they seem to get it right is they fundamentally focus on the customer in totality and really working hard to understand the customer need. And from that, they then design the right processes, the right set of measures and scores to really then deliver that cost efficiency in terms of their operating model within their customer service area. And I think it is absolutely a difficult challenge to get right, but you have to start with the customer and you have to fully understand the needs and then work and build from around that. For too many years, a lot of businesses focused on average handling time as a core measure, and we know it drives the wrong culture in call centres, it drives the wrong behaviours, and we kind of lose sight of really what matters, and that the customer is in the middle of all of this.
Yeah. And at the same time, we're looking at how customers can service themselves. So there's a lot of call demand that used to come into our own call centres that people were able to do online, but they didn't know, and they wanted to be able to do that online as well. So we're helping them understand and taking those top call demands that are coming in where customers say, God, it would be great if I could do this on my own, letting them do that and letting that drive our priorities so that frees up our call centres to deal with customer demands that are much more complicated, and they do need reassurance from a human perspective to help them out on. So we're trying to balance out that's the sort of cost effectiveness of and the scale of being able to service yourself, and then the human touch that's needed when something's a bit more emotional or something is a bit more complicated. We're trying to have a look at how do you make sure that digital does have a personal touch to it, so it's not completely cold. And there's lots of different techniques out there in the market that let you do that. Personalisation was one of the big sort of things that came through, just making sure that when someone comes on, you recognise who they are, you talk to them as an individual. Things like web chat, which we work very closely with the customer ops team on, making sure that there is a human that sits behind that interface as well, and introducing concepts like people like you. So this is personalised to you, but we can also compare you to other people to give you a feel for other people in the same situation as yourself. So these are digital techniques that we're bringing into force at the minute, but at the same time recognising that sometimes people just want to talk to people and handing them off at the right point in that process.
And I think what needs to happen as well when a customer does talk to one of our agents, that the people that are dealing with the calls have the right tools to be able to effectively handle that call or handle that demand? Is the information that presents itself complete? Can they get a full view of what that customer is likely to need? So data and analytics is a key underpin of that, to ensure that it's just not a kind of a cold conversation. As soon as the call comes in, the call handler can see very easily and readily what that is like, what that need is likely to be. Is it a result of us sending some information out or promotion campaign out, or have we sent recent literature to that customer? So being warm to those kind of demands coming in will absolutely ensure that, I guess, the call is more efficient, but also the customer needs are more likely to be met.
So I've come to Leeds to speak to Sarah Evans from RBS about social media within the contact centre.
So I think the best thing that the social channels allow us to do is to really understand what's important to our customers. So we always knew that our customers loved the mobile app. We've got 3.5 million users that are on it every single day. But what I guess we didn't really appreciate was just how much they rely on it. So whenever something went wrong with anything to do with a technical issue on the mobile app, we could always see in a database that there are numbers of people that it's affecting. But almost the Twitter feed allows you to have a window into that customer's life. So not just that it's affected that person, but how it's affected them. Okay. So waking up on a Friday morning, the most natural thing for me to do is to check if my wage has gone in and have I got enough money for the weekend ahead. And if that's broken, then it's thrown my entire daily routine out, but also it's then had a knock-on impact upon my life. So I guess what that then did for us internally was it meant that we were forced to mobilise ourselves much quicker than we perhaps would have done in the past when we just had a database. This time we've got really rich insight into a customer's life and how it impacts them. So it forces us to fix problems within minutes rather than weeks and months. And that's a prime example of our mobile app. One of the first places that we see if there's a problem with the mobile app is that it's up on our Twitter feed, and it's impacting customers' daily life and daily routine. Quite quickly we've got those issues solved and we've got a communication out there just making sure that our customers know that we're on it and that we're solving it. And we can see that those incidents are now few and far between after we've collected all of the information from our Twitter feeds. And few and far between, but whenever they do happen, they get resolved really quickly.
So what would this mean for an organisation with several departments?
The more you can proactively provide information for the customer, you can actually proactively provide the customer with their details without them needing to contact you. So you can be efficient by reducing your calls, but actually still providing the customer with information. But also intelligence is going out into the customer's mobile applications. So a lot of the intelligence, a lot of the information that they need, which is specific to them, is now being provided to them on their phone. And that is something that even we as ourselves as vendors, we're using that same technology for our customers to build up the knowledge bases, to use the data, the big data, to make sure that when our customers are talking to us, we can make sure that we're dealing with them in the most appropriate way. Retail banking, insurance, they are all making the same decisions. What is the most appropriate way to deal with these customers? And more often than not, it's also the most efficient way as well if you do it right.
I went to speak with RBS to talk more about this social focus.
In social media, we will not only respond to customers that have actually directed a question to us in our accounts, so either our NatWest or our RBS accounts on Twitter or Facebook, but we'll also use the whole world of social media as an opportunity to engage customers that are just on social media and are talking about banking. So we've got lots of searches set up within our social media responding tool that give us the opportunity to just engage with customers, whether they're just exploring social media and banking and have got some problems and we can say we're here to help, or whether we just want to say hello and say we're actually here and we're a bank that listens and we're a bank that's transparent and is here to listen to your views and opinions. So I think reaching out to them and being proactive is definitely something that we're really proud of doing and that we make a point of doing. My social media team, for example, their sole purpose to exist is to just go out there and surprise and delight customers. So find opportunities to turn poor experiences into great experiences, but also just engage with customers and just make them enjoy social media. So in social channels, we proactively hunt for those experiences to convert, if you like. On the website, again, I guess it's just about showing that we're there and that we know what type of customer they are. So I think there is lots of information. Everybody knows that there's so much data in a digital world, and it would be a crime if you didn't use that data to actually enhance a customer's experience. So if you know the preferences of that customer, then why not change the digital page to make sure that the preferences of the customer are displayed on that page, for example. So, or if you know that lots of customers tend to get stuck at a certain part of the page, why not give them an opportunity to web chat with one of our web chat agents that can help them and move them through that journey. So for me, it's just about using all the digital insight that you've got and data that we've got on customers, bringing the two together so it actually enhances the experience.
I asked Standard Life how they use social both to interact with their customers and as a source of data.
So we do the basics that you would expect a company like ours to do, which is to make sure that we monitor those channels and we're listening to what customers are talking about at a very basic level and respond as quickly as we can to any inquiries or any questions that come through those channels. In fact, we're doing things like live Q&As in response to big events that would affect our customers. So we did one for the budget, and we also create blogs and we put those out there and we make sure that we've got conversation going. We get really big spikes in that traffic, and again we base that content on what our customers are talking about or what they're asking us about, and that's trying to make us a little bit more responsive. Data-wise, what we're looking to expand out into, and this is quite an important space for us to look at, is not just being on our own forums, but going where our customers are, and this is something that's becoming quite important to us. So we know that the conversations happen outside of Standard Life properties. So Martin Lewis is a really big place where a lot of customers go to talk about their finances. So we're looking at how we can go into partnerships with areas like that, so we don't expect customers to come to us all the time to have a conversation. At the same time, we're sort of incubating ideas like, do we need to have our own forums where our customers can come and have a safe conversation with each other and also with us? And again, how can we make sure that that R&D stuff that we were talking about earlier on, we scale that up a little bit to really be bringing them into the proposition, and social is a really fantastic way to be able to do that.
And other things we've been doing, we've set up the online community, so we've got a customer panel which we rotate periodically of nearly 2,000 customers. So if we are wanting to test certain initiatives or how customers will receive it, or check, test out some design approaches, then we sometimes take that to that panel as well and get feedback, and it helps us then shape things that are obviously where we're putting customer more at the core of what we're trying to achieve here. Yeah. So some of it's quite new territory for us. It's probably less of a traditional financial services approach, but at the end of the day, if we want to be responsive and really fulfill those evolving and changing customer needs and demands, then absolutely you've got to put customer at the beginning of that and throughout that whole journey.
One of the things that we also do through social is speak to the customer over the telephone. Okay. So not only will we respond to the tweets, but we will also keep them updated through voice, through email, whatever channel is right to get their query resolved. So yeah, we work with our back office, with our mortgage team to understand, right, where are we, what does the customer need to do, and this was the situation. And it was great because actually what we were able to do was get that customer in their property within the 2-week timescale that they were looking, that was originally set. And I guess that example isn't just an example about social media. That's Nationwide's ethos. We want to deliver a #1 satisfaction through all our channels, but what Twitter allows us to do is then almost showcase that then to our follower group.
Customers are expecting a seamless customer experience from one to another, and we're actually seeing that a process, whether it's a mortgage or taking out an insurance product, could easily start from one channel and hop or move in a seamless way from one channel to another. And the customer could start on the web, go into the branch, call the contact centre. They will want to know and feel that you know them at each of these points and that you know their history of communication with you. In the past, previously, there's been a siloed approach to whether it's been the website, the branch or the contact centre. What it's meant is that technology hasn't been joined up, and that's what we're seeing a move to now, particularly I think right across certainly the retail banking, where we're seeing the branch and the contact centre come together with the back office and obviously integrated with the web as well. In 2012, customers were using something like 4.3, it's odd to use a 0.3 in terms of the channels, but if you look at the channels and you count them in terms of the branch, the contact centre, the web, the smartphone, video. When we did this research in 2012, just over 4 of those channels were being used. Now it's over 6. So it tells you something about the adoption of these new channels by the customer, but also the fact that they are now moving from one channel to another as part of that same process.
On the next Future Banking, we take another look at some of the outsourced contact centres in South Africa, whilst trying to gain a deeper understanding within the technology side of things.